Hello, Esther. Hello, Abraham. I'm very grateful to be here. I have what I kind of consider a big picture question.
Can you hear?
It is why me? Why us? Why are we the leading edge? I mean, we're a drop in the ocean compared to the rest of the world. What makes us different?
We don't want you to take this the wrong way. But everyone is on the leading edge of them. Mm-hmm. And there's no reason to ever compare the leading edges that everyone is. When we say leading edge, we mean most ready to let in consciously, in full awareness, everything that you've been asking for. We're not talking about deservability. Everyone's equal in that. We're not talking about importance of intention. Everyone's equal in that. Humans don't know that, and they don't even want to hear it because they want some intentions to be more important than others. So we don't mean that by the leading edge. We mean on the brink of letting in. And so what we're really talking about is strong desire. It's like you've found a way to trend and allow your desire to grow, which means you've been utilizing your guidance system maybe without knowing what it was and being true to who you really are by caring about feeling good. So you've been more willing to let slights go by or more willing to let what you want in. That's what we mean by the leading edge. So sometimes it could be defined as stronger desire. We're going to make a strong statement here. If you have a strong enough desire, it almost doesn't matter what your beliefs are. That strong desire will dominate and eventually it will draw you in. But if you've got a desire and a doubt and a desire and a doubt and a desire and a doubt and a desire and a doubt, you don't let yourself be on the leading edge of the manifestation of who you are. We like this question so much. It has so many deep, important answers. Leading edge. It sort of goes back to the conversation that we began with yesterday about who is the authentic self? What is the authentic self? Who is the authentic me? So this leading edge that we're talking about, everyone, without exception, no matter where they live, how long they've lived, what the influence around them has been, everyone has created a vortex version that is magnificent. Everyone, with no exception. Ooh, let that sit with you just for a little bit. Some of them will not allow themselves to realize it until they reemerge into non-physical. Everyone, when they release their awareness of this physical body and reemerge into non-physical, will become their full authentic self. Everything that they lived in this lifetime and all that they ask for will merge and they will be it. So there was no loss in having pinched themselves off other than the misery they lived their whole life. So those who have decided that they've had enough misery early on and have allowed themselves to move in the direction of what they want, who have deliberately reached for more satisfaction, this is what we mean by the leading edge. They came from non-physical. They live in their body as an extension of non-physical. Life served them in the way they knew it would. They asked for more. They created a vortex. They lined up with their vortex and they were able to consciously, that's such a good thing, be aware and in on all of the deliciousness of all the subtle unfolding of all that they wanted. They just let it continue to flow and continue to flow. That's what we mean by the leading edge. Deliberate creation, doing it on purpose, defining it, identifying it, isolating it, lining up with it, getting to know the feeling of it, supporting the feeling deliberately, and then witnessing the results of that. That's what the leading edge is.
Why is there seems to be a curiosity about this, an interest, more in some people than in others? I mean, what makes that difference? I mean, I feel like, I have 4 brothers. We all born, grew up the same way, and they have no it's not anything in their realm, as with most of the people I know.
Try to describe what it is.
It's a curiosity, a knowing that there's something more.
So what you're describing is their absence of interest in that?
Or lack of understanding, not being it myself, it's hard to imagine why it is. It seems so natural to me. It seems like who I am and who I came into this world as. Is there a difference in people in how they come in?
Yes. Feel this. Before you go too much further into this, we want you to feel something really powerfully. As you notice their lack of leading edgeness, you're not on the leading edge.
That I understand.
So now, just for a moment, think about the beasts of your planet. They're on the leading edge. Why? Because they've lived their life and they've made their requests from their perspective, and they aren't blocking it. So they're doing exactly what we were talking about. You call them instinctual or instinctive. We call them tuned in, tapped in, turned on. We call them guided from broader perspective and more easily responsive to that perspective. And so feel how much of the population, just because they're not striving in the same way that you are, does not mean that their life hasn't produced for them desire and that they haven't found a way. In other words, maybe they're satisfied. Satisfaction is leading edge. And so the confusion comes by feeling a need to define what people should want.
For me, it's kind of, I've always resisted kind of the idea that there's the chosen ones or whatever. And so I start to ask myself, why are we here? And there's billions of people who are not participating in this right now. And I know that are more and more.
There's never a crowd on the leading edge, because that's what makes it the leading edge.
Exactly. But what puts us on the leading edge?
Trending. And sometimes the trending happened because you were born into an environment that trended. Jerry said, as he was meeting his grandchildren as they were coming into his awareness, or meeting people that he was wanting to mentor, his often phrase was, I want them to know what the possibilities are. But even in that, there was a little offness in it, because he meant, I want them to see that there are bigger possibilities. And what we're saying to you is, you come with different intentions about that. What we're wanting to accomplish, we know that you don't mean this in a judgmental way at all. And yet, it sort of kind of is. Even we started it with the word leading edge, because the leading edge sounds like the place that you want to be. You don't want to be on the not leading edge, or on the following edge, or on the left behind edge. But there is a balance that is perfection, that from your non-physical vantage point, you say what you want to do to jump in. And so sometimes you deliberately choose experiences that are not conducive to early understanding of how this works. You're born into situations where you are, what you would say, dealt a not good hand, where there's so much for you to push against, maybe even abuse or injustice that is around you all the time, which causes you to create a vibrational reality that adds to the power of the attraction of the planet. Your vortex, your vibrational reality, cannot be separate from the vortex of mass consciousness. So everything that everyone lives, every asking that everyone asks for, is the reason for the calling of the energy toward it. So there's not one person, whether they've figured out how to let it in personally and thrive, who is not contributing. And everyone came knowing that that was the way that it works, and everyone willing and wanting to participate. And then through life experience, as time goes on, there is more and more of a refinement of understanding of how it works, and therefore more of an allowance of more people. This is really what the leading edge, more of an allowance of more people to let themselves express the manifestations of their newfound worthiness. An even better question is, why would anybody hold themselves apart from the leading edge? And isn't it always, I thought it was a good idea at the time? Isn't it always, I was doing the best that I knew to do at the time? And if you can just take in and really feel it, that that's enough, and not make this comparison. The relief that you will feel when the comparison stops and you just revel in what you're about. And then you find this appreciation from every perspective, because this continuum that we talk about, where there's wanted on one end and lack of wanted on the other, no matter where you are on your own defined train track or continuum of what you want, no matter where you are on that, your inner being is reveling in it with you. We can say that more clearly, reveling in it without you, because you're not always reveling. Oh, we really like this conversation.
And you say you can't go back. I mean that you, so I'm trying to understand in the various in life experiences, do we continue this understanding?
Yes.
Or we can go back?
There is no regression ever. It goes like this. So let's just take this life experience that you're living. So you know what you don't want, you know what you do want, and you've expanded. Whether you let it in or not, you've expanded, and that vibrational reality is not ever going to go back. Now you can deprive yourself of it. In other words, in a human sense, you could at sometimes let in your well-being, at sometimes not let in your well-being, and you might want to say, well then I went back, because at a time I remembered and I let it in, and then I forgot it and I got ornery about something. But we're talking about that vibrational reality that is really you, that when you reemerge into non-physical, that's who you are, and there is no going back from that. So every time you reemerge back into physical experience, your understanding of love and your understanding of appreciation and your understanding, let's just make a list of things you understand. You'll like this. So these are the things that you know. That's that surprise as soon as you reemerge back into non-physical, and then you revel in it, and you know it as you make the decision to come. And we know there's another question that's going to come right behind that, and that is, then why don't we remember when we get here? And we're going to address that right after we address this. So what happens is you come into this physical experience, and these are the things that you know for sure. Everybody around me came just like I did from non-physical, with powerful intention and very specific reason, and we're all in this together, and I benefit by all of them and they benefit by all of us, and isn't it great to be here? In other words, sometimes you come into a room like this and you really like the feeling of being in a room like this. This is what it feels like to everyone when they come into the physical experience. It's like, here we go. What's the point of that? What's the point of coming into a physical life experience? If we are pure positive energy, Abraham, in our non-physical form, why would we come into a physical experience where we forget that we are pure positive energy? Why would we subject ourselves to banging around in that place of temporarily not remembering, and sometimes being in a whole physical life experience and not remembering? Why would we do that? Because you are creators who are understanding the value of expansion, and you know that you're contributing mightily to the expansion of all that is by your participation in this leading edge experience. We're going to tell you a few more things that you know. You know that you're coming with diversity, and that's okay, and you come with no evaluation or judgment about what anyone else is coming to participate in. You are non-physical like when you come, because you are non-physical, in the sense that you're not in competition with anyone. You see everyone as a contributor to your natural, undeniable, inevitable evolution. You accept the inevitability of your eternalness. Oh,